First off, how's everybody doing today? Can you hear us pretty good?
Yep, great, perfect.
Awesome. So, like Dylan said, this first webinar is actually a little bit atypical because it's over the first set of material before sourcing. So, it is a little more bland, like we were talking about topics and things like that. And it's, we're not exactly going to sit there and read you guys the terminology paper. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and we weren't sure what kind of level everyone would be at by now. We didn't know how far along people in the videos. Some people I know still haven't finished them all. Some people are at the early stages or still haven't made it through the whole thing. So we didn't want to skip too far ahead for everybody.
So today we were going to focus on primarily the stuff we saw from the Facebook group where people were having issues or people were having a bit of trouble, and hopefully explain things better. One of the topics was profit margins, and from the video profit margin expectations. So everybody who started sourcing so far, what kind of profit margins have you guys been seeing on the products you've been looking at? So like I said, what kind of profit margins have you been seeing? Ours typically range around 20 to 25% on most of the products whenever we first get into them, and we try to get better margins after that. But early on, I mean, we're willing to go pretty low and accept lower margins.
John's obviously doing really well, 85% across the board for him.
Oh wow, very nice.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a little bit of confusion about how to calculate profit margin. The calculation for profit margin is kind of awkward, particularly with Amazon. It's net profit divided by revenue. And where it gets a bit awkward is because you can't control a good portion of that. So it makes it just an awkward calculation, I feel like, for Amazon. Do you kind of feel like the same thing?
Yeah, no doubt.
So we tend to, whenever we're talking internally and stuff, we tend to focus more on ROI than profit margin because we can control a larger portion of ROI. And the products that we suggest carrying and the products that we carry ourselves turn over so fast.
Must be a recording thing.
Is that a recording thing or something?
There you go.
But our products turn over so quickly that it makes it much easier for us to focus at the ROI level rather than think about calculating profit margin. So, like I said, to calculate profit margin, it's going to be your net profit divided by your revenue. So the way that works is, let's say that one of the examples from the video was an $18 item where you bring back $12.53. Your cost was $10, so it's $2.53. Hang on, we're getting some feedback.
They said the sound is from when someone joins the webinar, and I'm assuming when they join, they come in.
Oh, okay.
Live. Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
This is our first time hosting one of these, so these background noises and things like that, we actually don't know what they are. So I apologize and bear with us.
Oh, let's see.
Daniel Soto says he doesn't hear us at all.
But they can, now they're saying they hear us. Okay.
Okay. So back to the one topic. It was $2.53 was your net profit on that item. So to calculate your profit margin, you would go $2.53 divided by the Amazon sale price of $18, which would leave you, I think it was 14.05% or something like that. But like I said, we tend to focus more heavily on ROI because it's more it deals with more that we can control. And the way our products turn over, we're just looking at a month in, month out investment. So it's, I invest this much money, how much do I bring out at the end? And that tends to work for us better. Now, the calculation for ROI, the fastest calculation a lot of people are going to use is your net profit divided by your cost. There are other calculations, but it's essentially the same thing. It's your net revenue, which is what you bring back from Amazon. On this instance, would be $12.53 minus your cost divided by your cost, which is effectively comes out the exact same at 25.3%. So understanding these calculations help you understand how, if your business is running profitably and if your business is making money. So it's imperative that you do understand them, but don't get, I hate to say this, but don't get overly caught up on minor details. Like don't let yourself get sucked into the minor details. Make a calculation to see if you are profitable. Go from there, run your cycle, get into the product, get out of the product, and let that guide your purchasing decisions. You don't have to focus on every tiny detail of a transaction. And then, like I said, we tend to focus on ROI and inventory turnover because that's the biggest portion of our businesses. You know, we suggest carrying items that sell 90 times per month, and that's because instead, a lot of businesses are going to say they want a higher margin or something like that. Let's say your margin is closer to 50%, so you're bringing back on that same item you would bring back $5. Well, that's fantastic, but how many can you sell per month? And what we've found, particularly with wholesale, you have unlimited access to products. So we want to take advantage of that and be able to move a good amount of products. That's why we focus so heavily on selling a large volume, like 90 units per month. You want to show them like the quick calculations for an item, Dylan? Just bring up a random Amazon item. We can go over it really quick.
Let me see just a second, everybody.
Joe said he doesn't have any audio.
Let's see. Yes. Okay, just any product.
Joe, here's the product code.
There's gonna be those people coming on. Live mics.
All right. Let's just. All right. So just this one.
Yeah, that'll work. I got on screen share right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So this item is $24.99. Let's imagine that this product costs, and Amazon's not carrying it. I mean, just look at the baseline numbers for this product. So at $24.99, assuming the product costs $12, let's look at how we would calculate ROI and how we would calculate net profit or profit margins. Just bring up the FBA calculator.
I want to talk to somebody. You've got that product up right there. When you go back to it, somebody asked if we do bundles. We don't do any bundles, but let's say we're carrying this product. We do multi-packs for a well-selling product. So even if like the single has a great sales rank and then the 2-pack and 3-pack our sales rank aren't as good, we will go ahead and probably send those in as well, because you're getting the benefit of the parent-child listing with the high sales rank, and then you can get your cost in line with multi-packs. So while we don't make bundles, we will do multi-packs for parent-childs for products that we already carry.
So if this product costs $12, what we would be looking at here is bringing back $17.58. So quick, should to show you the calculator. So $17.58 minus our $12 cost, $5.58 divided by our retail price would leave us at a 22% profit margin. Now, to show you how this differs with ROI, so the same product brought back $5.58 would be divided by our cost at a 46.5% ROI. So that's how these numbers can get confusing, is because they are drastically different. 22% profit margin versus a 46.5% ROI. So that, you know, if you're going to go off one, make sure that you, like, whenever we made the change to start talking in terms of ROI, we always try to talk in terms of ROI within our own office, just for this purpose. Like, we don't want there to be any confusion about which one we're talking about. So whenever you start thinking about a product, find what works for you and kind of graduate your thinking to that model, and just figure out where it works.
I got some stuff. In the course, we talk a little bit about like minimum profit margin that you're willing to accept. And we also talk about the goal to sell 90 products, for a product to sell 90 times in a month. What are some examples or some scenarios that you can see where that would change based on a product that has a much higher profit margin than normal, but doesn't sell, you won't sell quite as many as 90 in a month? Like, what are some things that you'd be willing to accept?
Here, I can give you an example of a product we actually do carry that doesn't sell 90 times per month. This product is we carry another product from the same manufacturer, and that product hits all levels of the calculation, or all levels of our qualifiers. Its profit's fantastic. It sells. We sell over 400 units a month. It's actually just, I mean, it's probably one of the best products we carry. But he released another version of this product, and it's a larger version. You know, it's a protein powder. So we carry the 1 pound, and it does extremely well. And he started making the 3 pound, and it was, you know, it doesn't quite sell as fast. We pay $60 for this product and sell it for $109.95. Now, what, you know, you might say, well, this is, you're not making a huge margin, or you're not making you're not selling enough units. Well, the reason we want to do that is it is profitable. The item's profitable. We're already placing this order, and it helps us with that manufacturer. It helps us show that we support that brand. And that's one of the things we try to do is if it's a great brand and we love the product, we're going to try to help the manufacturer out by carrying more of their products if possible. It just makes us feel like we work with them more, and we want to show that we're willing to carry a higher range of their products if possible. But we're not going, you know, generally we won't lose money to do it. Like today we actually purchased a product that it came in today. I saw it outside, and I couldn't figure out why we purchased it. And I had to talk to Matt, and I was like, well, you know, what's going on here? We paid $14.40. After Amazon fees, we bring back $14.48. So we're making 8 cents. The product had a 42,000 rank, which is well outside of our range in health and personal care. But he explained it to me with, they had another product there. They had a promotion going on where 4 of the products that we carry from that manufacturer all fit within our range and are very good. But to qualify for the promotion, you had to carry 5 products. And that was the 5th best product they had. And he just bought it to make sure that we qualified for the promotion to get an extra 10% off of our order. So, you know, you can look at it from those perspectives. If it's saving money somewhere else, or if it helps your relationship with the manufacturer, I think I would justify doing it. Also, there are times where we will not change our philosophy is if there's high competition on an item. Like, I don't want to jeopardize a sales rank if there's a lot of competition. That just creates volatility. So what you're looking at is, you know, you're looking at slower sales, and it's harder to get out of your product if the price crashes. If there's a lot of competition, there's more volatility there. There's more there. You know, you can't possibly imagine what they're going to do with the product. So if they start liquidating, it's going to take you longer to sell it, and the price is going to get beat down, and your money's just tied up for you know, a marginal gain. Like we try to avoid instances like that. That's why we try to keep our products so liquid, is to make sure that if something does happen, we're able to get our money back, recover, and reinvest our money as easily as possible.
Another thing to consider too is, like, this course is designed to get you from point A to point B efficiently and as fast as possible, so you can start getting returns and start building capital. So for us, we obviously have a larger amount of capital than most people. So we can, with our experience and with our capital, we're able to, you know, sometimes differ from the guidelines we set. The course guidelines are set up to be the most, you know, the best possible route for success. And so, like, that way you can focus on these products to get your revenue up and to get your capital up, And then as you get experience doing this over time, you will find your own circumstances where, you know, it's like any of you that have been in any of the RA communities or RA stuff, you know, the 3X rule, this and that, the other. That's just a good baseline to get started for success. Now, just like anything else, as you learn and you do, you know, experiment and stuff, you will learn different things. But to get your capital going and to turn over your money fast and reinvest it, we feel like that's adhering to that, you know, the baseline that we set forth in the course gives you the best chance for success in a very quick amount of time.
All right, so we covered now products that sell less than 90 times a month but have higher profit margins. What about the scenario where you have a product that sells at an unbelievable rate? Let's say it's a product that you can sell 600 times in a month, but you're making very little money. You're making only about 80 cents or just $1 per unit at a profit margin of like, you know, 7-8% or 10% or something. How do you feel about those products?
Here's the problem with those products. I personally don't think they're terrible. You know, the problem is you have to tie up so much money into them. Like we had a product that's very similar to what Dylan described right there, and we had to stop carrying it because, you know, you're investing $20,000 to bring back $21,000. It's just not. It's not a feasible investment. Like there's just better places for us to get our money in.
And returns hurt you a lot. Right.
Like, you know, the time in your returns is, and that, you know, that could be for us. I mean, we're still, that's the thing is we're still evolving. We're still growing our own business. And maybe, you know, a lot of people can accept those returns if they have the capital to do so. But for us right now, we feel like you know, that the guidelines that we set for you guys is pretty much about where we try to cut it off. And don't worry, guys, we're going to take your questions. It's I see them coming on the screen. We just want to talk about some of the things we've seen from the forum. And but back to I mean, for us, those kind of investments, with the liquidity that they have. I mean, as fast as these items sell, I don't think there's a terrible amount of risk because you can get your money back so fast. But you know, you're just tying your money up to be able to make so little that I feel like you could concentrate on just finding a better product that brought a more moderate return and a more even a slower pace, and you would make more money. And that's what that's what our business is all about. It's about we try to generate from point A, which is at the start of a month, to the end of the month. We try to generate as much capital as possible to reinvest the next time. So you know, that's the business plan we've kind of laid out for you guys is that model. It's you invest your money early, get your money back, and reinvest. But do so at a safe rate. I mean, and as intelligently as possible. That's the thing is I just think there's so much better investments out there than the super low margin stuff. And I'm gonna jump on to another topic really quick. There's been some questions in the group about competition analysis and particularly identifying aggressive repricers. Like most people are trying to isolate it down to if they have so much feedback, then they must be an aggressive repricer. So that's not always the case. Like there's tons of guys with lots of feedback out there that play fair. They're not beating prices to death. It's just that's a good indicator. Like you'll see these guys, you'll see certain sellers with 70,000 feedback, 100,000 feedback. You need to pay attention to them. Like that's the first key. It's like, you know, are these guys aggressive? That's the first key that they're pretty aggressive because they are selling a lot of product. Like when you look at that, another thing you can look at is go to their storefront. Are they selling 1,000 items? And what is their feedback in the last month? If their feedback is incredibly high within the last month, that means they're selling a lot of items. If they only carry 1,000 SKUs, I promise you, they are probably very aggressive. That's one of the things you can look at. We actually brought up some aggressive guys that we've ran into in the past, just to give you an idea, like some of the things you can look for.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to a screen share and kind of identify like what'll help you identify these particular guys or guys like them. So if you see right here,
this is Big Fly Sports here.
This is like Dylan said, this is Big Fly. We try to avoid getting on products with Big Fly Sports, which is actually kind of tough. They carry a lot of products. I think they carry something like 60,000 products. So, but if you look at their feedback, 470,000 total feedback. I mean, that's an astronomical amount. And on this listing, look, they are at $625. Scroll down a little bit, Dylan. Show them the price break here.
They're the lowest price. They're tied with 2 others, and then everybody else after that is at $659 or higher. And I mean, and it's a long list. There's a whole other page of more people. So it's just these 3 guys that are at $625, and everyone is well behind. And it's likely that the only 2 people that are the only reason there are 2 people that are matching Big Fly is because the repricers have been set down.
Well, that or they get tired of not selling products.
Yep, and they just need cash for cash flow purposes. They try to match them. See, this is a theme that we'll see. We'll move to another product that Big Fly carries. As you can see, I'll move this out of everybody's way.
This is actually a merchant fulfilled item, which it must have probably got restricted or something at some point. But if you notice, $875, he's the lowest again. Now, what I can tell you, we've carried products with Big Fly. It's not that they're matching. They're generally the aggressors in getting the price there. So, like the offer may have started at $9 or $10. Probably actually started closer down, scroll down a little bit, probably at $11, and they probably came on at $9. So, and when they come on a product, they're generally pretty aggressive, and they go to their bottom pretty quick.
Yeah. They're the one who starts the race to the bottom. We found a lot of the time.
Right. So look at this one. It's $8.65. Big Fly again in the lead. So whenever we're talking about aggressive repricers, what you can do is just notice if this seller, if they have a ton of feedback and they are in the lead, are they in the lead all the time? Like, are they at the bottom or close to the bottom every single product they carry? And that's one of the clues that you're getting ready to fight against somebody. And like I said, we try to avoid as many fights as possible. Now, this seller is another notorious, another one that's pretty rough. Great price, fast service. They're, obviously they do pretty well. They have a ton of feedback, 91,000 feedback. But if you look at this particular item, you're going to notice that, and I can tell you, I'm pretty sure that the cost on this item is like $12 whenever it originally came out. But if you go, it says add cart, add to cart to see the price. And if you look at across a lot of their products, they're just going to be in the lead. Add it to the cart and look at it. So $9.09. They're obviously just beating everybody else on this product. And if if you're on products with these guys, they're going to be the aggressor. They're going to be driving the price down. Again, great price, fast service, $5.28. I have no doubts that the product probably started around $6 or $7, and he fought to get it. And that's probably close to his bottom right there. He's probably not going to go much lower. But that's the problem is when you get on products with these guys, it's not that you can never catch up. It's that you will sell products at their bottom. So it's, and there's lots of guys like that. And I'm not saying anything bad about those companies. Those companies are fantastic companies. I know Big Fly is very, it's growing a lot, but they're aggressive. And as a smaller seller, you have to watch out for that because they can afford to operate on those tiny margins, whereas a smaller seller can't. Is the same concept as earlier when I was talking to Dylan or about the would accept a product that sells 800 times a month at 10%. It's like we don't have the capital to do that, and we're pretty sure that a lot of other people are in our shoes. We just can't do that. Well, these companies are very big and they can afford to do it. So you're going to see them try to get in the lead and sell as much product as possible. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about aggressive repricers.
Yeah, and a lot of feedback doesn't mean aggressive repricer, and a lot of feedback doesn't mean you should be worried about them. It's only when they have a lot of feedback, they're at the bottom of the product that you're sourcing, and then they're at the bottom of pretty much every other product that they carry, or sometimes, isolated at the bottom where they are so much lower that nobody can match them. And we had a question that came in. It was just a relevant question. It's how can they make any money at those prices? So it's like you said.
Well, they've got 60,000 SKUs, so they may not win on 500 of them, but across the board, across 60,000 SKUs, they're making money. So like whether or not they make money on a particular SKU doesn't really matter to them. They've got big POs due that they have to pay, so they need their cash back, even if it's at a rate of 75 cents on the dollar they paid. They got to have their money back and constantly turn over so they can buy more product and pay, outstanding purchase orders and such like that. Is what happens when you start getting operating on that type of scale. It's more about cash flow for them than it is about profitability on a single SKU basis. It's about their entire selection is what matters to a purchaser or like a seller like that.
So they're not, like you just said, they're not looking at their profitability on a single item. Like when you're that big, you can broaden that out and look at it across a category, across a sector, across your entire year or inventory. So that, they're focused on that cash flow because they're wanting to make better returns somewhere else. And they're not bad people. They're just that's just how they operate. They have to get their money back. And also, more to the point, like I said earlier, they can accept lower margins. I mean, when you get that big, I mean, you're generally more efficient. You're generally getting the best possible prices, and their pricing may be better than yours. There's a lot of factors at play that you just can't. I mean, you can't get hung up on it. You just have to think about it and say, yeah, maybe I just don't want to get into these races with them.
Yeah, that's a relevant question there. How about e-tails? They seem to be on everything I look at. Are they, in your opinion, an aggressive repurchase?
I mean, they're definitely, e-tails is definitely aggressive. But they're not. They're actually one of the less aggressive giant sellers. They will get in the lead, or they will fight a little bit, but they try to they try to settle on a real profit margin. I mean, you can definitely get on products with like we carry plenty of products with e-tails and have no issues. But I mean, again, you got to look at it from the perspective of a lot of these big guys aren't looking at it from a single SKU. So I mean, me telling you that I don't struggle with details on products doesn't mean that they're not destroying other ones. It just means that the ones we carry with them, they're not destroying. I mean, Eric pointed out that they're not focused on a single product, and it's because their catalog is so big and they have so many products that they don't have to focus on that single product.
I saw another question that I liked. Is it wrong to assume on my part, this is from Jaya, is it wrong to assume on my part that I should avoid products that are less than $15? It seems like the margins would be eaten away with fees there.
We try. I think our ASP is over $30. We definitely do carry items that are $6, $7. I mean, that is more of a. I explained this over whenever I was on vacation and had a dinner with a few people, and that's more about filling your capacity. You can, if you have employees or something like that, and they constantly run out of stuff. I mean, you've got to try to find profitable items to plug into that time to have them processing. So if you're in that situation, I mean, you can lower that ASP and still you're making value out of having that employee doing something as opposed to nothing. But if you're strapped for time, like if you're doing this yourself, I mean, I would focus on probably higher cost products, and that's just because your time is more restricted. I mean, do you think does that sound right to you?
Yeah. I mean, particularly it comes out of your capital really in terms of because obviously you're going to have less return the lower the price you're selling product at. That's just simple math. So we are obviously like I said earlier, we're capitalized enough to where we can afford taking some of these products like Dan was saying and make the smaller margins because we do have payrolls and stuff to take care of. But yeah, if you're just getting started, you obviously want to spend probably a bit more time and look for a product that's going to be a higher selling point with a greater return on your investment. That way, it just leads to more capital and, simple math in that situation.
Like Joe said, I mean, Joe pointed this out, and it's true. I mean, on a lot of your cheaper products, you're generally going to have a better ROI in terms of percentage. The dollar value is not there, but the return on your investment is. But what you run into is the cost of your time. Like if that cost, if you're only making $1 on a product, then if your time is being eaten up by that product and you're just not sourcing something where you can make $7, $8, $10 an item, then it's at that point it's just opportunity cost you're losing. So just factor that in. If you have the capacity to take on more products like that, they're definitely profitable products and great returners out there. It's just the amount you're bringing back isn't always that significant.
And time constraints are, a big part of making your decision. It's actually the reason we graduated or moved from RA to wholesaling was because, there was only so much time Dan and I could spend on the road sourcing products, etc. So, if you get to the point where, you're spending too much time prepping and shipping products with low return, and you're not able to source a better product, then, you're probably losing out in the long run. So, the more time you can spend sourcing a better product, it's probably better, especially up front when you're a little new at it, maybe a little uncomfortable or just getting started to figure things out, to spend a bit more time because the products are out there. I mean, we've not even, our business has been amazing for us, and we've not even, tip of the iceberg, so to speak. And so we're finding new products in different categories, daily, really.
Yeah, let's look at a couple of other questions here, and then we'll move on to the next thing we have on our list. Let's see. Looking at questions here. I saw one. There's a lot of them coming in, so.
Mark asked if leaf sourcing, all the sourcing stuff we're going to be doing on the next webinar. We're actually just going to do it live with you guys. So, that's, the purpose of this one, like we tried to structure it with the course. So like I said, these first few videos are a bit less exciting. While Dylan's looking for that, I'll start on the end of the next topic here. Sales rank analysis. This was as far as what we gave you guys, we said earlier in this webinar, was it's a great starting point. And if you focus on products in that range, you're going to generally be able to generate capital and keep your money pretty free. But as your business grows and you get more familiar with how to read competition and how to do things, set up accounts and all the things that go into it, we do expand outside of that zone some. We still try to keep our cash very liquid and base our orders around a month's replenishment, or we tend to go over that whenever we're trying to get discounts, but for the most part we do focus on what we can sell through in a month. But the point is if you starting out, if you focus on this particular these particular guidelines, you're going to generally there's going to be a less opportunity for you to get hurt. Like I said, in the instance where you're with a high-ranking product, we try to avoid that, because there's at certain points you just can't get your money out of them. You can't control what's going on with the product, and you can't get your money out of them. So we do suggest to stay in this range for a reason, and that's why we, especially when we were first starting out, we were well within that range too, and we were looking for super high volume products, and it worked well for us, and that's how we were able to scale so quickly, is focusing on being able to get our money back quickly and being able to reinvest. So that's why we selected that range, and that's why I stand behind that. I believe in the range. I think it was that range is made for your benefit.
We got a question in from Bob. He asks, are you looking to go wide on wholesale buys even as a beginner without large starting capital, or should we hit a couple after intense research?
I mean, everybody has a different philosophy. I mean, I feel like if you find a good product and you can afford, you want to maximize that product. You want to buy whatever your set replenishment period is. If you only have the capital to buy 2 weeks worth of inventory of an awesome product, why would you go wide as opposed to just investing and maximizing that return? So I tend to say I let your capital dictate how you do it. But if you find a good product, make sure you're taking advantage of it. Don't be sold out of a product because you chose to go wide with some worse products. Make sure that you're getting your money in on the best possible products, and that way, those products are going to have a higher return than just going wide for the sake of going wide. So I guess that's it's kind of a long-winded suggestion, but focus on returns rather than going wide. Like I don't like the idea of going wide for the sake of going wide.
Yeah. I mean, I actually more than just tend to. I fervently think that you should just pick a better product. This course is designed to find and isolate, identify, and target products that have a high turnover, so that you're able to get your money back if you're going wide, I mean, going wide is generally like a fail safe or an insurance policy if, you know, against a few SKUs. These things turn over so fast that, you know, even in the worst case scenario, it goes a little bad for you. You're still able to get your money back very fast, and then, you know, obviously still source better or, you know, other high turnover products. That's the whole key, and the reason that we set the guidelines that we did is to have success finding high velocity products. And so, you know, I think that you should, if you find a product that is getting a good return for you with a high velocity, you should definitely focus on that first. Obviously, if you still have capital beyond your order or your replenishment availability for that product, then sure, you know, then look for more. But to me, it's more important to find a better 1 or 2 SKUs than it is to find a mediocre 10 SKUs.
And you guys suggest always doing a test order before going real deep, right?
For sure. I mean, if you're able to, I mean, if you're able to find a minimum order that's going to allow you to still, realize a good profit, and, you know, obviously, yeah, it's just like anything. The more insurance or the more safety net you can have, you know, the better. I mean, that's common sense, you know. But at the same time, I mean, you've got to get out there and do it. We've had, great success with this, and that's the reason that, you know, this course even exists, is because, you know, by and large, 95% of the time they're very successful, with a good margin return. Sometimes it doesn't go that way, but you can't plan for every single possible scenario. You have to, but if you're in the right range of products with a high velocity, you're going to see a return on your capital, and then you can start going wider as your capital dictates then. But like Dan says, just to do it for, you know, the insurance side of it, I don't think it has much merit at all.
The back to somebody asked about the test order, and, you know, we do it, like Eric said, that whenever it's possible. You know, if the MOQ dictates it, and we'll sacrifice margin and not hit like free shipping lines and things like that to do that. And I'll give you an instance. We did that a couple of weeks ago with a product, and the product came in, looks fine. I mean, we definitely adhered to all of Amazon's prep guidelines. We sent it in, had a lot of problems, but it's a glass item, so there was a lot of problems with breakage, a lot of returns, and things like that. And, you know, the product's already shipped, and it's an oversized item. So whenever, you know, the product's at Amazon, we can't control it as good. But with our test order, I mean, that test order didn't work out as well. But now we placed a much larger order. We know going into this that there's more significant prep required. So we talked about what we're going to do and developed a plan based around that first order. So that's the importance. You know, it's just, we thought we had prepped it right, and according to the guidelines, we had prepped it right. But we know we can cut down on some of those returns and some of the breakage and things like that by changing our prep. And that's just something you don't know until you get a product. So, you know, that's going to definitely change the cost for us. And you know, with a new prep, what we're going to have to do is run through it and see if it's something that still makes it financially viable. So that's the point of placing the smaller order, if you can, is be willing to lose a little bit of front end money to make sure you make sure the product is what you think it is. Like, there's no hidden, there's nothing that surprises you.
Yeah, more than one occasion we bought products before that picture clearly shows a plastic bottle. It even says in some of the reviews it's a plastic bottle, but for whatever reason the manufacturer's now shipping in a glass bottle. Well, that's bubble wrap and extra prep time that we weren't factoring in our costs on our initial order, because for all we knew it was a plastic bottle. And, you know, these things do come up. That's why, you know, if you can get a smaller, like he says, to know the product that you're dealing with, having it in hand goes a long way. But you know, like you said, by and large, it's, you know, the thing is just, if you target these high velocity products, you're going to get your return on your money very quickly. And that's the whole point of this course and this exercise. And somebody talked about changing their mindset from RA. Nobody was probably slower at it than me. Fortunately for me and our company, Dan was very good at transitioning his mindset very quickly to wholesale. I was still clung for quite some time to maintaining high profit margin and holding products out and not really liquidizing our cash as effectively as we should early on. But I finally got there, and so I completely understand the problems and the mindset shift that it takes to go from the RAOA model to the wholesale model.
And let me tell you this: Eric's not an easy guy to convince. I mean, he's at the end of the day. I mean, whenever we did change models, he had to see a lot of proof, and that's why we know it works. Is I had to, like, early on I was choosing products, and that's one thing. He's like, when I was choosing products, he was like, I just can't wrap my mind around this. You take care of it. I want to analyze the numbers, and so that's how we operated early. And Eric did, to make sure. Eric's a lot more careful, and he's a lot more analytical when it comes to the business side. So it worked out very well for us because fortunately a lot of the early products we picked worked out and did super well. But that gave us the proof of concept to know that this business model could move forward, and now it just dominates our entire business. Like, when we first started, we were thinking this could be a supplement and help supplement our RA income, and it's just completely replaced it. So keep that in mind. Like, just it is a different mindset, but you have to be able to transition your mind to it. You lose a lot of cost too. I mean, where you're talking about lowering these margins and lowering your returns, you're not out there doing it. Like, you're not out there buying products. You're not out there hunting these things. You can focus on just finding more things to make money with, as opposed to just finding one product at a time. And that's the biggest shift is once you realize that you're saving so much time and you have so much more time to dedicate to projects, so much more time to dedicate to finding larger return. By larger returns, I mean just over time returns. It shifts a lot for you, and it's something that becomes. I mean, it just becomes easier. Like, once you start thinking at that level, you just start realizing that it does work. Did you have another question? I see you poking around.
Oh no, we'll try to cover. We'll just move on to the next topic, and then we'll just do all questions. So
there was another thing that I saw some confusion with was the merchant fulfilled versus FBA offers, and particularly pertaining to the buy box. So whenever we said that you can largely ignore merchants, that is true to a degree. And now merchants can get the box. Like, they're not. It's not like they can't get the box. They do have to be cheaper. So, one of the products we recently had a struggle with a merchant on. We had to go 10% above his cost to get the buy box, and that changes. I mean, it changes based on category. There's just a ton of things that factor in Amazon's algorithm to determine when a merchant can get the box. But that's what we're saying is it's much less likely that they're going to get the box. Now, if you're looking at a potential wholesale product where it's $30, FBA offers at $30, and then there's a merchant at $16, and he has the buy box, you can't ignore that guy. I mean, it's just he's going to keep the buy box until somebody gets down there within 5 to 10% of him, and like I said, that's going to vary some. But if you're within that range, it is very hard for them to get the buy box. They do not get an equitable share of the buy box. And that's the point we were trying to make is, you look at like the Quest item, I think the sales rank was 25 or something like that. If a merchant's at $23, they're not getting that buy box, and they're not getting any equitable share of those sales. So you can largely ignore that offer and just count the guys that are within 2 to 3%. And that's not to say you can't be 4% higher than the FBA offer and get the buy box. It's just that the percentages are so low. That's why we say calculate at 2%. There are things that are possible. You're going to make. It's not impossible to make sales by being slightly higher than that range. It's just it becomes more unlikely and becomes more of a statistical anomaly. We're not looking to build our business based on statistical anomaly. We're looking for consistency. We're looking for, because that's ultimately what helps us predict our cash flow. And whenever you start in this, whenever you get fully immersed in this business, predicting your cash flow is very important. I mean, you need to know how much money you're bringing in so you can make your next investment. And that's what we try to focus on is, we've spent this much money, our return will be within 30 days, and this is what we expect to bring back. And that helps us gauge what to purchase next. Like, how much available cash do we have? And it's, that's the beauty of this business is that it is predictable. But in the same token, you have to be able to, you have to build your business around that predictability. You can't just ignore the predictability aspect. And so I hope that, maybe that clears up some of the confusion with that one. It's not that they can't get sales. It's just, they're at that point, they're becoming a statistical anomaly to get sales. Whereas we like to focus on, like we said, we don't, our pricing strategy is generally matching FBA. And if merchants will generally be 5 to 10% higher. Like we generally start around 10% and work our way down till we just take that buy box. And that's what we want. We want as much buy box time as possible. I mean, the buy box is a pie. The more percentage of that, the higher percentage of that pie that you're able to get, that's more sales that you're able to get from that particular product. So, you want to grow your sales, get more pie. That's the trick, is how can you maximize that?
Yeah, a good way to sum it up is a question I'll ask you. Have you ever, you've carried over the last year or so hundreds of different products. Has there ever been a time where a merchant fulfilled offer really could compete with you to the point where you got off the product?
Yeah, I mean, that happens. It's very rare. But I mean, if a merchant is willing to get it down to, you making no money, then there's no reason. Like, I want to get that buy box. I want to be able to sell as many copies as possible. So if I have to go down to the point of not making very much money or not getting the return that I want, then yes, I will get off it. But that is so rare. I mean, it's so hard for them to do that. Like you have to look at it from that perspective of they have to pay to ship that order. That order it's not shipping for them for free. So it's very hard whenever you're getting, in the RA world. I mean, this comes into play a lot more because, your price isn't always the best, and you may be competing against a merchant that has wholesale pricing. But whenever you're getting that wholesale price, it is so hard for them to get under you and actually realize profit that it doesn't happen very often. I can say that. I mean, I explained, I'd never, that was the confusion, I think, was that, merchants can get the buy box. We're not saying that. It's very hard for them to get the buy box in a competitive situation. All right.
We'll move into questions now. We have roughly an hour that we can dedicate to just answering your questions here. And so if you can go ahead and if you already asked a question in the chat, you can just post it again. We're going to try to go through as many of them as possible, try to answer as many of them as possible.
And we'll be scrolling back up too. I mean,
yeah.
Eric, I know Eric had a good one. I'm going to go. I didn't get to read it all.
It's, I think it is this one.
Yeah.
So Eric says that he's got $24,000 in free cash right now. My preference is to just go whole hog wholesale, as I fear that if I continue to focus on online arbitrage while ramping wholesale, I won't grow the wholesale component fast enough. On the other hand, I fear that if I don't do OA in the meantime, I'm going to miss inventory turns. Your thoughts?
I mean, inventory turns are the name of the game in this wholesale thing. So, I mean, I feel like if you invest your time and sourcing products for the wholesale, I mean, I can't imagine that even with online arbitrage, you'll be able to find consistent inventory turns faster than we're able to find in our wholesale sourcing. But, we started our AOA to build capital. It seems like you're already at like I said, we had a little bit more than that set aside to start wholesale, but we didn't have this course to get us started. So like I said before, like we had 50,000 we were willing to set aside to try to wholesale, but we couldn't even find enough products. We spent $5 or $6K in our first month is all we could source because we didn't know what we were doing. And now you guys are going to be, well ahead of that curve. So I imagine you should be able to find 10, 12, maybe even 15K worth of wholesale stuff in your first month using this the leaf sourcing that Dan has developed, and then inventory turn is just, I mean, if you're picking the products that are outlined in this course, I mean, inventory turn is going to be just amazing for you. So you're going to be able to turn that 15K relatively quickly into 20, 22K, and then so on and so forth. So I think that personally, I would say give the wholesale a good, the old college try, as they say. Just dive in, spend you a couple of weeks sourcing. Find these products, contact these manufacturers, because OA is always going to be there. I mean, to that end, wholesale is too, but you're going to be, out there, hitting the ground running with the inside information that, that Dan and I have developed over time. And so, for me, I think the wholesale and the inventory to turn rate for it is just phenomenal. That's what makes our business go from, scale as just fast. I mean, it's still not even been a year yet. I mean, July 10th, I think last year was our first actual wholesale sale. So it's not even been a full year since we had our first true sale in the wholesale.
Connie asks, do you have many items that lose value due to lower prices by other sellers that you move off? How do you remain consistent?
The majority of our items stay very consistent. I mean, we will ride the, if an item does start to drop in value, we will ride it down to where we don't, until it gets down to the point where we don't want to carry it anymore. But for the most part, our items do stay relatively consistent. If you're concerned about that, you might want to focus on looking for items with MAP pricing, and you can easily identify those. And an item with MAP pricing is going to have a lot of people log jammed at the exact same price, and that's usually a pretty good indicator that there's a MAP in place. But as far, if you can, once you're able to ramp your cash flow, I mean, MAP pricing to a degree becomes a bit of a restriction, to be honest with you. I mean, we like to be able to battle a little bit and make sure that we're constantly competitive on products. So, do they lose value? Over time, I'm pretty sure every product loses value, but it goes through cycles. I mean, you'll see like there are products that you'll follow them down, and then a couple sellers will sell out, and they'll start to go back up, and that's the natural ebb and flow of the product. So,
definitely don't write a product off, because, like he says, there'll be other sellers get discouraged and drop out, just like you feel like doing, and then you revisit the product in 3 or 4 months, and next thing you know, it's just a significant number of sellers have dropped off, and it's good and profitable again. I would obviously place a reorder. I mean, I would try to curb it, knowing now that it gets hostile at some point. But I mean, it's just like RA or any other online business. Just don't marry your product. I mean, and continually look for products. I mean, Dan is sourcing every single day still. We have like 250 live SKUs on the wholesale account. And we still spend a significant portion of our day still sourcing. It's because, like, okay, well, if the value does drop off, well, we're not sitting on 5 SKUs just, waiting. I mean, when you have the capital and you're able to move forward, and if a SKU does drop off and you're early on, just, move it to the side, keep it on your spreadsheet in the back burner, revisit it in 3 or 4 months, and see what the landscape looks like then. But, continually advance, grow, evolve your business, because that's how you're going to, continue to grow your capital and revenue to where you're not dependent on 1 SKU or 2 SKUs and 5 SKUs. And like I said, I know early on that's going to be a little more difficult to do, but you're going to have a product that has, high velocity, so that in the event that you realize, hey, maybe it's a little bit more hostile than I wanted, you can get your money back out of it and reinvest it in another product that you spent your time sourcing.
I mean, you do run the same exact risk with RAOA. I mean, it's actually more significant because your pricing's worse. So, I mean, you've got to compete with the same type of person, but also you've got to compete with the possibility of wholesale offers coming in that can actually murder your prices. So, it's the exact same thing. It's just, will prices drop? Yes. Just like Eric said, I mean, the trick becomes getting to the point where you can diversify your portfolio and not be so locked on to needing that product. And never, ever, ever get married to a product. Stop. If the product becomes unprofitable, stop carrying it. Revisit it after a period of time, and if it's profitable again, I don't write a product off because it was bad to me. I'll look at it again, and if it's good, I'll buy it again, just like it's a new product. So
a good question I saw earlier was first contact when you're with a wholesaler or manufacturer, phone or email. Which do you prefer?
Well, I mean, a lot of that depends on a lot of if you guys have full-time jobs or things like that. I mean, you're going to be restricted into more email. Just make your email as robust and good as possible. Like we posted several email templates in the Facebook group, and a lot of people have already been posting that they've been having success with those emails. And I mean, we use those emails, so it's the same kind of message, and we obviously have a pretty good amount of success with it. And as we evolve it, we'll continue to post our updates, and like I said, once in the Facebook group, Matt tests out different style emails all the time. He works with Dylan here, and they come up with new strategies to increase those approval rates. So, as we're learning those, we're going to continue to post them. But And in terms of phone versus if you're in the instant, if you have the time to make those calls, you will be more successful. But a lot of that is about understanding how to sell yourself as a business. So, if you understand that concept and you're not uncomfortable calling people, getting them on the phone, if you come across as a personable, a human and represents your business well, they're going to have trouble telling you no. I mean, they want, it's naturally harder to say no over phone, over when you're talking to someone as opposed to through email. So if you have the time, make the call. If you don't have the time, that doesn't mean you're going to be infinitely less successful. It just means it's going to, you're facing a different set of challenges.
We have a good question here. Is it crucial to have the website? Oh, it scrolled up on me. Is it crucial to have the website up before reaching out to a wholesaler or manufacturer? I have set up the domain with email. I just know it's going to take some time to get the site up and running.
I mean, it will increase. This is one of the things I do think that you probably should set the website up. It definitely helps. I tend to think, yes, you should take the time to set it up.
And to show you how these things work, I think you shouldn't worry about it. I think you should just contact them personally. I mean, now I will defer to Dan. He has much more experience with this. I'm just saying, I think that the experience contact. There's so many products out there. I mean, will it increase your chance of success? Yes, but if it takes you 6 weeks or 2 months to get the website up and running, and you're not contacting people until then, I feel like you're just going to miss out on opportunities and experience, more importantly, because I mean, it's just like anything. The first time you do anything, it's always a little awkward, a little weird. And as you go on, you'll get better, you'll get more personable, and you'll get more comfortable doing it. So, I mean, I probably defer to Dan, but I just wanted to interject how I feel about it. I mean, if you can get it up in a reasonable amount of time, like within, a week, sure, you may want to hold off. If it's going to take you the amount of time it would take me to build a website, you probably want to just go ahead and get on the horn and see if you can get them to sell you something. Why you have probably even outsource it. If you're as bad as I am, you should probably just outsource it anyway.
Hopefully, I guess that that's a different point. Is I'm not banking on it taking you 6 weeks to get a website up. I mean, like Dylan posted. I mean, it takes him 45 minutes. I understand it's going to take you longer. It'd take me infinitely longer. I could watch Dylan's video, and I couldn't do that in probably 3 days. But I think that watching that video and using, if it's a confusing process for you, use what Dylan said. Don't try to operate outside of that. Just use what he said. Post in the Facebook group. It'll help you out, and hopefully you can get that within a week or so. But if like Eric said, I mean, it's going to take you 8 weeks. I mean, you can start contacting.
At that point, you can start contacting.
Hopefully,
you can always revisit them too. I mean, if someone denies you, you can always try again in a couple months.
Right. Whenever we first started contacting them, we did not have a website up, but our acceptance rate was very low. And I mean, that was one of the problems. Is it definitely went up by a large margin just by having that website. So having that website does make you appear to be more professional, and they're going to be more likely to want to work with you.
All right. Next question is, at what point do you ask about quantity discounts? I secured my account today, but they offered no quantity based discount. Is this normal?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them won't mention it to you. I mean, you have to ask. So I posted an email that I would typically send in the Facebook group, and I would post that before. I would ask them about this discount before placing my order. Now, if the product's still profitable, I'm still obviously willing to operate on whatever they tell me. But you don't have to come across as pushy to ask for a discount. Like I said, it was a really beautiful email. I mean, you definitely should check it out. It was,
right, and this is all after you've been approved. This is not before you've been approved.
No. Don't ask them about discounts before you get approved.
Right.
Like after they say, hey, you can order from us. Here's my pricing. Be like, well, we really appreciate you taking time to email us, and then say, we're looking to do a larger volume, be a higher volume account.
Which I think actually legitimizes you as a business too. When you're talking, even if you don't end up buying a higher volume, just mentioning the fact that you're considering or have the capacity to buy at a higher volume, asking for the discount instead doesn't do like what you may think in your mind, which is make you seem like, oh, I'm a cheap seller. What it actually does is convey the ability to have large amounts of revenue to spend on their product, which is actually a good thing for most of your manufacturers.
Yeah, I mean, it's asking for a discount. whenever you're doing your first accounts, that's going to be the most awkward part. So just try to follow that email template. If you're on the phone, I mean, just follow generally the guidelines there. You don't want to come across as pushy. Don't push them for a discount, but ask. I mean, they can't say yes if you don't ask. So ask and try to establish that before you place your order. I mean, it'll help you in the long run because they understand if you start placing those orders and then ask later, they're much less likely to give them to you because they understand that you're already buying the product. So it's best to establish that as early as possible and at least get them to tell you what these discount tiers are. So, even if you don't hit it on your first order, just be like, I'm going to place this order to test the product and make sure my customer base responds to it. And I'm more, I do plan on hitting this tier or hitting this discount level within a couple of orders, and they'll understand. So try to establish it, after you're accepted before you place your first order.
Next question is, when getting a commercial shipping address, does it matter if we have an office space in an office building, or does it have to be something in a retail shopping location? Do you think that matters at all?
No, I mean, our last location that we just moved to, I mean, we've just been in this building for about 4 or 5 months. Before it was literally just a barn/warehouse. I mean, it's a 3,500 metal building. I mean, we had computers set in there, but there was certainly no office space. It was wide open.
It was like a giant storage unit.
That's what it looked like. It looked like a giant storage unit with a heating system and an air system.
Right. All right. So I saw a good one here. I'm running into a lot of listings that Amazon is on. Do we just pass on them, or is there a way to price so that we can still win the buy box?
I just avoid them. I mean, like, if you can win, they get the they are willing to fight the price down to the point that it's just, I mean, you're not going to make enough money to care for the most part. I mean, I promise you, they're generally buying from the same source that you will be able to, and you can almost guarantee that they're going to be hitting whatever quantity discounts exist. Just avoid them, find a better product.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with Amazon on a wholesale product. I mean, sometimes there are scenarios where if you're doing RA and OA, you can compete with Amazon, but generally on wholesale products. But even that's hard.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same concept. I don't like to fight with those guys because I don't have to.
Right. Let's see.
It's hard to compete with a business whose model is to not be profitable.
Right. So John asks, do we do private label at all? Have we dived into the private label products?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we do private label.
We're kind of just starting. We're
like we have a few private label products, but as far as private label is a different animal. I mean, if you guys are private labeling, you understand what I'm saying. It's not as cheap as it appears. So no, that's the caution I would give you. It will eat a substantial portion of your budget up. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't pertain much to the course. So
right, it's difficult. A lot of people were asking that question. We found that private label, it's possible to be successful. But there's a lot more risk involved than there is in wholesale.
Well, it's not necessarily risk. It's just there's cost that you don't understand until you're doing it.
Let's see. Should I quit my job tomorrow so I can make calls to wholesalers and manufacturers?
I would probably focus on trying to start building an income first. You want to put the cart before the horse.
Maybe just call Emma there too.
Let's see. Speaking of websites, should I get the .com or go for the .net, .org, etc.? That was a question we covered in the Facebook group the other day. So personally, every website I've ever built, unless it dictated something else, like it required a .org or something, every website I've ever built was a .com. And it's just something that's been beaten into my brain for years of doing IT and web design, is that you should always use .com. For the purposes of the websites that we teach about and that we use trying to get wholesale accounts, you would think that, well, it shouldn't matter what the ending is, the suffix is, because you're not really worried about people being able to try to find the site in a lot of cases. But being a .com does, in some cases, and even if it's subconsciously, develop more legitimacy to your business. People look at, I mean, for whatever reason over time, that's just how it's always been. So I would suggest trying your best, if possible, to come up with a .com. And remember,
I would change my business name
right.
to get a .com versus. I mean, to me, I actually hate .nets, .others. So I mean, I think it looks pretty unprofessional. I would tend to just. I would come up with a different name.
And in our legal business name.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no way I'm full of anything but .com personally.
Yeah. And then our legal business name, speaking of, because we've got a lot of people that are trying to make their websites, the name of their website, their legal business name. Ours are not that way. Our legal business name is something totally random and weird, and we don't have a website that uses that legal business name.
But I named it because that site was available. We actually own the domain.
We just don't have a website for it.
Right. But I think that was the reason I bought it.
Right.
.com was available.
Right.
I mean, I would change my business name before I would get a .net, or I would just go buy a different name. I would use a DBA. Because, I mean, the purpose of that website, while Dylan's working for getting us another question, the purpose of the website is to look professional, and that's why I think the .com has so much value. Is, you know, even though people aren't going there to shop, you know, they may, but I don't care if they shop on mine. I want it to be professional because that's what it needs to do to get these accounts. I mean,
yeah. Joel asks, if you are carrying a product that you have been on for a long period of time, and then one of the aggressive resellers shows up on the listing, do you bail on the product or do you wait? I
mean, like, just because I'm not scared of anybody coming to the dance. I mean, if they come to the dance and they may be civil too, so you just got to wait and see how they react. Like we said earlier in the broadcast here, it's you got to understand that a lot of these super aggressive mega sellers aren't focused on a single item. So that just because they do these things on other items doesn't mean they're just necessarily going to come right to the party and start on your product. So yeah, I mean, you just got to kind of wait and see what happens.
Jaya asks, where do you outsource and what kind of services do you outsource? Now, our answer will be a little different than most people because we actually have the capital to outsource a lot more things than some people are capable of.
I mean, conversely, we do more, I guess, also inside than, I guess that's weird. I guess we can outsource more. We do, we have web design inside with Dylan.
We get our graphics outsourced.
We do outsource graphics, even though Dylan's a great graphic artist. But just because it's very time intensive and it's a cheap product, a cheap process to outsource. So any kind that's most of our outsourcing is whenever we know we can do something cheaper by outsourcing it, we'll tend to do that.
We outsource our taxes.
We do outsource our taxes. If you don't have a CPA, I just please go get one. I mean, they save you enough money that it's worth it. And you like when you're asking in the forums, I mean, I don't know enough about setting up businesses in other states. I mean, I'm reasonably familiar in my state, but not because I do it. I mean, I take it even if when we set up a business, like we have, we've set up a couple. We will take those to our CPA and just have her do it, even though I'm pretty sure Eric can sit down and do it. The point is, we know they do it right, and they're paid to do it right. Eric may mess up, and I mean, I can't. It's not something he does every day, so I couldn't get real mad at him because he did mess that up. And I mean, likewise, if it's an unfamiliar task to me, I'm more likely to make a mistake. So, if you can't outsource something like a super professional task, I would suggest doing that too. Another example is we outsource our payroll. We don't understand how to do payroll taxes. I'm pretty sure Eric could probably sit down and figure it out. He's a super smart guy, but the hours that he has to take to figure it out, better spend on other projects. And it's something it's relatively cheap to outsource. So that's what we try to do is we, if it's cheaper or it's a professional service, we do outsource it. That's a very long answer to a short question.
What are the volume levels? What is a typical first order, or should we just ask the manufacturer during the application process? What is their typical first standard order?
I would not ask that question during the application process. Wait until you've already been accepted. I mean, you don't want to come. Like the problem is if I'm asking what their MOQ is, I think we tried to explain this in the videos. Maybe we didn't do it well enough. If I ask, if Dylan's my manufacturer and I say, Dylan, what is your MOQ? he understands that I'm concerned about this MOQ.
And it does the converse, what we're talking about. Asking for a volume discount because you want to do a large volume tends to have them imply that you're wanting to spend a lot of money with them. When you ask them what's the least you can spend, obviously it implies that you're trying to spend as little money as you can with them. So it's definitely, like he says, there's something you don't want to, certainly with the first point of contact or anything like that, bring up MOQ or minimum orders.
So what my suggestion is to contact them, get accepted. They'll generally tell you their minimum order. I promise you, they're not going to spring it on you. It's not like, oops. So after you get accepted, they're gonna send you their terms or whatever. So just don't, just hold your horses, get the account. You'll find out when it matters, and you can adjust from there. If it's an order you can't place immediately, go look at other accounts. Don't just write them off. I mean, at some point you contacted them for a reason. The product's good. Come back to that product, but get the account before you ask. Don't ask minimum orders. I would never do it.
Yep.
Oh, no, we have done it.
It was terrible.
It was a
Yeah, we
mistake.
used to do it, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
So just don't do it. And learn from our mistakes. Just don't do it. They will tell you. You're not going to have to beat it out of them. So they'll tell you when the time's right.
Yep. Carol asks, do you warehouse many items, or do you try to send everything into Amazon?
Well, our course is based on replenishment. That's the model it's not only the model we're teaching you guys, it's the model we use. So what do you think? 97% of our products at Amazon. And the only times we're generally going over is if we get offered a really substantial discount to take, maybe 2x our normal order or something like that, then we'll warehouse just a little bit of it and ship it in as needed. But for the most part, I mean, if it's a normal replenishment item, it all goes into Amazon because we're buying a month's supply. And if it's slightly more than that, we may adjust it. And if we had to order a 45-day supply for the purposes of getting that discount, we would probably just ship that in. Now, if we get up in the 60, 90 days, then that's something where we may warehouse just a little bit. And our warehouse space dedicated to our active items, our active replenishment items, is very small. I mean, it just not a lot. I mean, we send it all.
Do you trademark any names of sites or products or anything that you work on? That's a question. But we don't. We've never trademarked anything up to this point.
I mean, that's more of to me, that's more of a private label thing. If you do private label, you might want to look at doing that at some point. But as far as wholesale, I can't imagine anything I would want to trademark. Like, I own my website domain. That's the point of getting your domain. But you can't steal mine. I own it.
Eric P. asks, when you are contacting manufacturers, do you say you represent the official business name or the website that you want to point them to? I've been saying I represent the site, but signing the email with my business name.
Are you implying that I assume he's implying that his business name is different
than his website? Yeah.
I generally, you can look at our email template. Only in one of ours, one of the templates that we actually use, I'm pretty sure that we generally mention our business name. I mean, most of the time we're saying we're a retailer, or whenever we do, we generally say that we represent our website name. So I think it's much better because it gives them if you're wanting to announce that you own a website, you're giving them something to go look at. Like, if they look up your business name, there may not be anything there. So I would probably suggest using your website.
Yeah, I would use the website name. That would be my suggestion as well. So Mark asks, what if Amazon jumps on a product that they haven't been on before? Are there any warning signs or ways to predict that?
I don't think there's any warning signs. I mean, it's something that there are a few products that we've found over time that we do replenish that Amazon carries. We found them when Amazon didn't carry it, and it's because the manufacturer gives Amazon a very small quantity. Now, these are exceptions to the rule and not anything that you're going to come across very often. But if Amazon gets on it, generally speaking, we're just generally done with the product. I mean, we'll revisit it in a couple of months. Once we sell through ours, we'll get aggressive. We'll sell through our inventory, and it goes just like anything else. I mean, we treat Amazon like an aggressive repricer or aggressive seller, and may revisit in a couple of months. But there's no warning signs as far as I know that they're coming on it.
The only warning signs you can possibly have is maybe have a good enough relationship with your rep. I mean, even then, I mean, even then, they're generally going to, if they make the decision to sell it to Amazon, it's something outside of your control, maybe even their control.
But I mean, I'll be honest with you, a lot of these products that we end up with and that you'll target and find out, a lot of them end up being smaller manufacturers, smaller niche products, and they don't particularly care for Amazon. So, you know, when you find a product that's in the wheelhouse and looks good for you, it's just products that they're not interested in selling, either for because they can't keep up with Amazon's demand, or they just want to really protect their brand and their product because they know what Amazon does when they get on a product. Amazon doesn't care about map. Amazon doesn't care about anything except getting the next sale and being the lowest price. So we've had pretty good success about dodging Amazon. I
saw a question earlier from Mark that said, you know, what should you do to prepare for ASD in the next few weeks? Very, very good question. ASD is an awesome show. The best thing you honestly do is you know, if you want to dedicate the time to looking up the vendors before you go and trying to get information as to what they sell, to make yourself a map. You know, ASD is huge, and you will miss stuff while you're there. So having a map of places to go and people to talk to before you get there will definitely help. Like, for example, there was an account I was turned down on a few weeks ago. It's they're number one on my list to talk to at ASD because I really feel like I can convince them in person to sell to us. Dylan's developing a really, really good marketing set of propaganda for us. And
I wouldn't call it that.
But you know,
we're not trade show gurus.
I mean, that's not our. I mean, most of our business is
right. I mean, we've had limited success on trade shows. We go to ASD because it's in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I mean, I like to gamble. Eric likes to.
Right. I mean, realistically, like, you know, this you want to learn about trade shows. There's people that do it much better than us and much bigger than us. So, you know, we've had some success in the past with it, but you know, how we're going to prepare, like you said, we've got a few vendors that we've talked with or contacted in the past. We're going to look at some of the, you know, see if there's anything interesting. But you know, asking us to prepare how to best prepare for ASD is probably not the best thing. I mean, really. I
do think that's a good point that you brought up, Dan, though, and that's to approach the people that have turned you down in the past and see if you can talk them into it in person.
I mean, I feel like with particularly with the set of marketing propaganda we have and working on right now, it's going to be a lot better. You know, we're going to come across as much more legitimate than through the email chain, and you know, they ultimately said, yeah, we don't want to sell to any Amazon sellers, and I feel like in person I can convince them that we're more than just your typical Amazon seller. So.
Next question is, how much do you buy for a test order? Or if I could rephrase that, how much data do you think you need before you feel like a product has been sufficiently tested?
I mean, in terms of when I'm buying for a test order, I mean, I'm pretty marked in my convictions as to what the product is capable of. So, I mean, that's more going to depend what their MOQ is and what I'm comfortable taking. I mean, if it's a normal product, I may order, you know, two weeks supply or even up to a month supply. But if it's it just depends on where their MOQ falls in that range. I'm just going to order. You know, that's not the order I'm going to be like, hey guys, let me see that discount here. I need to hit it. So, you know, I will ask about it, you know, before I place that order. But my intention is not to use it at that level. It's to place that test order, make sure that, you know, whatever I ordered didn't, you know, look plastic in the picture and comes in as glass, and I hate glass, so it just takes forever to deal with. So that's what we're looking for with our test orders. It's not about it's not about minimizing our risk. We're pretty convicted with the product at that point.
Diana asks, do you sticker everything?
Well, we're not commingled on we're commingled on consumables, and like we accidentally commingled some items that we probably shouldn't have. And like today, we were completely sold out of an item, and he let it get to that point to change it over to non-stickered. So I know there's a lot of debate out there. You know, a lot of debate with commingled, non-commingled is with retail arbitrage. It's very hard it's much harder to prove your product's legitimate. If I get a claim against my product that it's not that it's a fake product, I have a manufacturer's receipt or invoice. It does not get any more legitimate than that. In fact, the majority of my manufacturers, I could probably get them on the phone with Amazon. So, you know, that's you. I don't think you have to commingle, to be quite honest with you, if you're using manufacturers to purchase your product from.
Yeah, we still commingle toys and games generally, but
Yeah.
like I said, any consumables are generally going to require stickers anyway. So
And I would want to sticker those anyway.
even if they didn't,
When we sell consumables, we do track our lot numbers and things like that. And that's in the instance, that's in the instance that the manufacturer says, hey, these lots were bad or, whatever. We need to recall them. I want to make sure that, I don't want anybody to get hurt using my product. So I definitely would advise stickering those.
There's a question here I saw that I'm going to rephrase a little bit. Is there a particular set of Amazon categories that you think are better for wholesale than the other categories, like certain categories that are superior for wholesale?
no, that's really not fair because we've only dabbled in a couple, and we're just now branching out into some other ones. So I'd imagine anybody with any expertise or if you lean toward a certain category, I would certainly start there because you're going to be more comfortable. You're going to understand your product range better. And I can't imagine realistically if we knew all the categories equally, I would imagine it would come out in the wash, so to speak, that they would all end up equal. Now, obviously, we have our preference, but that's just where we started. I mean, these are the things that we knew, et cetera. So as we're branching out, like as we've branched out into industrial, scientific, and home and kitchen and other products, they've all been equally astounding. So I to be quite honest, I doubt that I would be more likely, if you're NRA, OA now, I would gravitate toward those categories where you started because you'll have better knowledge base about products, et cetera. But I wouldn't say, like, all things being equal, that one is any better than the other.
I'm actually convinced that they're. I mean, I would be willing to gamble that they're for all intents and purposes they're not. That there's not one better than the other one. There may be one of them may have more products and have better. The sales rank goes a little higher for what we consider to be acceptable. But I'm pretty sure there's awesome products in every category. It's just like Eric said, do what makes you feel comfortable. But we toys and games, obviously we do well with that one. We did our first wholesale accounts in health and personal care. Did really well in that one. Recently, we had Matt working on home and kitchen, and within a matter of weeks, I mean, it's like 30% of our sales now. So it's just I think every category has infinite potential.
Next question is, do you buy wholesale from Alibaba at all? Is it safe? Can they be trusted? I hear of scams.
We don't buy any products. Like all of our products are legit from manufacturers. 95% of ours are domestic. We have a few international products, but those are all from international manufacturers. So no, we've never bought a knockoff or even a questionable product from Alibaba and try to pass it off as a legit product before. I would encourage you not to do that. I think that's a terrible idea.
I would say that that's the fastest way, honestly, to get banned on Amazon. I just don't. I mean, go to the manufacturer. Don't go to Alibaba. I promise you, it's not the same. Just go to the manufacturer.
Next question from Aaron is, what kind of wholesalers offer Amazon exclusivity? Wouldn't that mean you're the first Amazon seller? And then how do you research the products in the first place if they don't already exist on Amazon? Most
of them. I mean, as far as exclusivity, I mean, I think I said this one time in one of Dwayne's things. I mean, it'd be fantastic to have it, but it's not something we try. We don't go out of our way to establish it. I mean, it's just at some point. I mean, it's more important for us to get the volume of accounts. So, I mean, I think you would have to create that product from scratch, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're outside the range of what this course is teaching anyway. And that's not that there's anything wrong with that. But, I mean, we can't really speak from exclusivity in terms, because we're talking about building a product. And to that end, it becomes a point of almost being private label. I mean, you're going to have to build it from ground up, become relevant on Amazon. Of course, then you have exclusivity. But, the products we're searching products that you're going to have the opportunity for exclusivity is not going to have a sales rank sub 5,000. I mean, you know, so.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of experience creating new listings or creating bundles or bringing anything new to market. We focus on just finding products that we already know are good,
right, I mean,
and capitalizing.
Our focus is like Dylan said. I mean, we don't want to. We're not trying to create any kind of demand. I mean, our goal is just to find products that are already awesome and get in the mix.
Now, if we were already carrying a product and we were offered exclusivity, or we thought there was a way we could procure it, obviously that would be great.
Yeah,
but I don't know that those opportunities really present themselves very often, or how often that you can convince someone to do that. In some cases, it can be difficult.
I don't think it's ever came up in this wholesale.
I attempted it once and they didn't want. I mean, they didn't want it to happen. So.
Right, it's something that's pretty hard in most cases.
I mean, at some point we might look at, you know, whenever we've exhausted I think that's something for, you know, it's like if we exhaust our options, I mean, you know, all other options, I mean, we may start venturing down that path. But I mean, there's just so many opportunities.
And that reminds me of the question I saw earlier. Do we sell on .ca or .uk or .Europe or any of these? No, we don't, because we don't even feel like we've even scratched the surface of the potential on .com, which is obviously the biggest marketplace anyway. So we've not had the need to you know, branch out into other marketplaces. We certainly looked at them, talked to some seller centrals and overseas and stuff, but by and large, we've not even become to reach our potential for .com. So no, we don't do any .Canada or UK or any of those other platforms.
Pretty sure Eric filled out the paperwork for .Canada and would never even
tried it.
Never tried it. I mean, there's just so much potential on .com. I mean, at some point we may, and you know, it may. Honestly, at some point, it may be worth us hiring an employee to deal with .Canada or .UK. But for us, right, like you said, I mean, there's just so much potential. It's not something we just try to focus on getting more of that potential.
Question from Aaron. It's similar to one we talked about earlier. Considering that Amazon is a volatile market, what is the largest order you would place? A 2-month supply, a 3-month, a 4-month?
I would buy a closeout. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's just.
That's a tough question to answer without context. If you're saying like we have, it was one of the first products we've sold, and now we have almost a full year's worth of data. Amazon's never been on it. We've monitored this product over the course of a year. I don't think there's any number they could supply us that I would reasonably feel like spending money on that I wouldn't buy. Like, I mean, so as you procure more data for a particular SKU, obviously the more safe or the more confident you'll feel in the product. So like without context, that's a tough question to answer because, I mean, blind or on a first order, how big would I go? Obviously, much smaller than I would now, a product that I've had 11 months worth of data where I could see how it normalizes over time, and then you can make a much more informed decision from there.
Should we focus on developing a single website with different pages for each niche market, or just separate websites in each niche on a separate domain?
Whatever. I mean, honestly, I think it's whatever you feel most comfortable with. I mean, Dylan's a website guy for us.
Yeah, I think that you're going to be more successful. I mean, the difference can be marginal based on how well the websites are constructed, but you're going to have more success if you have separate websites for each specific niche. But you can have plenty of success building a single website that has multiple categories. You can really do it either way that you want. Obviously, building more websites is going to be more expensive. You can definitely just have a single website and it be fantastic. We like on our websites, we like to carry products on them, but we've seen examples where websites where it just kind of displays your company and the products aren't carried on them. You know, that's another way to go about it. We don't think it's as good as websites that carry products, but I think that you can do it either way. Just do what's best for you or what you have the most time to do. Like I've been saying it a lot here lately, and that's just the most important thing about the website. It's just that it's up, right?
I mean, that's the most important thing is getting started on it. Our current website has multiple tabs for categories. We're redeveloping into more niche websites, but honestly, it's personal preference. I mean, we just had it's more of a different idea that it's not because our website hasn't been successful for getting us products or anything like that. It has been. So, we just have a different idea with direction we're wanting to do. Like I said, personal preference. Do whatever's most convenient and easiest for you.
Janky asks, do you guys use Inventory Lab?
we do use Inventory Lab. I mean, Eric can give you the best, the most off that. I mean, Eric likes I think the back end.
You know, the bookkeeping is really nice. I love the ability it tracks cost of goods really well. I know some people in the forum have had mixed results on it, but for us, it's been great. So yeah, we use Inventory Lab.
Do you, Kelly asks, do you ask for a shipping quote before you place your first order?
Well,
we ask for freight allowance first of all.
Right.
If they have, free freight allowance. So.
Do you have a free shipping threshold, free freight allowance? I mean, so we're looking for that discount. I mean, if it's convenient. I mean, a lot of people's going to be like, hey, my minimum order is $250. I have free freight available at $400. Like, there's no way I'm not going to spend another $150 just to get that free freight. Yeah, I mean, ask for free freight. If you can't get that, I mean, at that point I would probably get a freight quote, particularly if it's a large, heavy item or something like that. I mean, yeah, but we do ask about our freight quotes if it doesn't come up.
And then just a follow-up to that, Joel asks, do you guys ask for alternative shipping methods other than UPS or FedEx, such as Yellow or RTS or one of the other OTR companies?
Yellow is in the trucking company. Okay, so
The cab.
for some reason,
How about Yellow Cab?
Yellow Cab popped into my brain. I was like, I don't ask about cabs, but yeah, I understand now. So we don't ask about freight alternatives until it becomes a problem. I mean, I'm not going to, if their freight's in line with what I expect it to be, I'm not going to spend my time looking for something to save me $3 or $5. Like, at that point, I'm just going to take their freight. But if if it's significantly out of line with what you expect, at that point, I would ask if we could use alternative shipping means, if we could get some quotes from our shipping people and run it there. And I don't generally contact RTS, Yellow, the other trucking companies. We have a list of freight forwarders. Use the freight forwarders. Those freight forwarders are going to get much better rates than you could ever think about. So if you're shipping pallet level, use those freight forwarders. Like we said, you can set up your own UPS, FedEx things, and get some discounts that way. But for the most part, I mean, it's not super common that it comes up, but when it does come up, it matters a lot. So it's good to have that resource.
Next question is, how do you pick a manufacturer that does not have any or a lot of name recognition? And I'm going to set this one up for you. I know that.
Well, we don't pick manufacturers; we pick products.
Right.
Their product finds me.
Right.
That's the thing, is I'm looking for a product.
I mean, it may have been. Who knows if it was? Maybe it's featured on Oprah. Maybe it was featured on Dr. Phil. We have no idea.
I will never know.
Right. What drives the product? But I mean, the product is there. It's proven seller, and I like the product. So we don't really pick manufacturers. What we do is pick a product, and we have no idea what. Generally speaking, we have no idea what the driver is. I mean, we've carried niche products all the time, and I have no idea how these people ever heard of them. But I mean, sales ranks 1,500 on Amazon, so not only have people heard of them, they bought it and they continue to buy it, time over time. So
yeah, the more name recognition a brand has, the much less likely it is, I would imagine, that we would carry it. We're not carrying products.
I don't discriminate. I mean, if the product says if the product is good, I contact them. The pricing's good. I don't care who it's made by. Like,
it's just what Dylan's saying. Those you're much less likely.
Yeah,
not buying
it's much less likely.
Right.
I mean, you're buying from Nike. There's a lot of competition.
Right. We're not buying products from Tide or Procter & Gamble or General Electric or Hasbro. Those are just not things that you'll find us carrying, and it's not things that we think that it's really possible to be too successful carrying.
It's going to be difficult.
Let's see. Do you use prep centers?
We do. I mean, we have a giant warehouse. We have a 10,000 square foot warehouse. So we do the majority of our prep here. We are starting to, when our guy gets done shipping for the day, he does a little online arbitrage stuff for us, and we may look at we're looking at using some of the tax-free things, but it's not because of capacity. It's just because we think it'll save us money. So yeah, I mean, would I use them if I had my own shipping out of my house and stuff? Absolutely. So
yeah, if it were Dan and I still, we probably would. I mean, but since we have employees and stuff now. I mean, that's specifically designed and we're hired to do that kind of stuff. We don't really have much particular use for a prep center, although I think that they are. They seem to, yeah, I mean, because your time becomes valuable, particularly when you do the high velocity and volume stuff that wholesale generally tends to
lead to. I mean, that's the thing is we spend a significant amount of money setting up the infrastructure to be able to process items quickly. Like now we can do it cheaper than a prep center. But, if I didn't have that infrastructure in place, I mean, I think it's a great alternative. I mean, that's why we suggested it in the Facebook group and trying to, we're actually working with another group right now trying to get you guys some more discounts. Like I said, I would like to be able to spread those out over the U.S. to help you with cross-country shipping and things. So.
Next question is, do you know if the freight forward or shipping costs are usually cheaper than UPS and FedEx?
That depends on the volume we're ordering. I mean, parcel is going to be good up to some point, but when you start getting on the pallet level and multiple pallet level, it's going to be much cheaper to get freight forwarders. I mean, so it really depends on what, the quantity and the volume that you're ordering. I mean, there's still products that I'd say at least 60% of our wholesale products still comes parcel, UPS, FedEx. We do get a lot of pallets, now with our volume higher, but that's going to depend on the volume. So up until some point, it becomes cheaper for parcel, but upon that, once you cross that threshold, then freight forwarders become the cheaper option.
Exclusively, I mean, I want to point this out. Freight forwarders are generally for pallet and freight. I don't want any confusion. So, don't contact a freight forwarder asking them to get a better rate for
4 or 5 boxes.
About 1 to 5 boxes. I mean, that's not their business. Their business is shipping pallets. So that's where, you can't get a better rate. So.
What would be a reasonable amount to expect to pay for shipping per pound? I'm thinking most of us have no idea.
Honestly, I mean, I try to look at it in context versus our other shipments. I've never looked at it at the pound level. I have no clue.
No, I mean, it's just like you said. If it seems off, like if we're from Kentucky, for those of you guys don't know, if we're getting a pallet shipped to us from Michigan and they give us a quote of $350, I know that's well above what it should be. So then I'll contact a freight forwarder. I mean, a pallet, within a zone, within a couple states should be about $150.
I mean, 150 to 200. I mean,
right. But I'm saying like in that range to the point of like, we have no idea based on, poundage, what to expect. And of course you go across the country, then you're getting the 300 to 350 a pallet range. So it's more about distance. We have an idea of what you can expect to pay versus distance, but not necessarily per pound, particularly when you're talking about receiving pallets.
Next question is, are we to expect needing a warehouse ourselves, or should we just use a prep center and ship from the manufacturer wholesaler straight to the prep center and then never have to touch the products?
I mean, I honestly think you can automate the business to never do this. It just happens that we've built this infrastructure. I don't think whenever we jumped in, I mean, I wasn't aware. I mean, I think they existed, the prep centers, but I wasn't aware.
Well, the problem was in fact, about 2,500 square feet of our warehouses, like we have asked about inventory on hand, very little wholesale inventory on hand. We still have a lot of RA and other inventory that we've had waiting for Q4 this year. So they're like about 2,000 square feet of our warehouse. However, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't need, the space that we did for this. So yeah, I think, like you said, prep centers were never really on our map. I mean, this is, grown so fast and so well for us, that we've kind of adjusted and made best we could do on the fly. And so I think that you could easily work it to where, like he says, you don't touch the product. It goes to a prep center and from there into Amazon, or even from a manufacturer distributor straight into Amazon.
It's just an associated cost. I mean, that this item's going to cost you an extra 60 cents. Tack that on if it's still profitable. I mean, there's an advantage in not having to touch that product, not having to invest in the infrastructure of having a warehouse. So, whatever works for you. I mean, if you want to prep it yourself, by all means. I mean, I think it can work.
But it's not necessary. I think the question was, is it necessary? Of course, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh,
not in this day and age. I mean, not with the opportunities available with prep services and stuff.
Next question is, do you guys use Amazon's labeling service for large quantities? Do you send master cases in?
No, well, we send master cases in, but any labeling, like you said, I mean, that's the reason we have employees now. We have the prep service in place. It goes back to similar to that. Like we don't pay for Amazon prep service because we have an employee that's dedicated to prep service. But it's like I said, it goes to ties into the last question to where at this time, FBA's advanced so far, manufacturers advanced so far, and these prep services have came so far that people know what they're doing. You can literally do it hands off, where you're just sourcing product, ordering product, having Amazon prep it, or the prep center prep it, or what have you. And it's pretty amazing time, really.
Next question is, if you aren't using a prep center, is it wise to get a UPS mailbox so that you can have a business address on your wholesale application? Or is it okay to use a home address on your application?
I mean, there's phrasing. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my house. Like, I would call it my corporate office. I mean, it's all about how you come across. So I think we don't have those UPS things in Kentucky, as far as I know. I've never seen one.
I mean, they're like Lexington.
Yeah, probably in the real cities. We're out in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have that opportunity. So it's never came up for us. But yeah, I mean, Dave, one of the guys in the group, explained to me what it is. That sounds terrific. I mean, I think you could easily use one of those and be perfectly fine. I mean, just because I'm in Kentucky, I've never heard of it. So it's a fantastic solution.
All right. So Sandy asks, what is a master case? So he said, we mentioned master case earlier, just asking.
Master case is just typically like a case may hold 6 units. A master case may hold 6 cases. So a master case will be 36 units. I guess that's the easiest way to break it down.
Right.
Master case is just a conglomeration of inner cases.
Diana asks, if a manufacturers that you contact referring you to distributors of theirs, is that a common practice, or do you see that often?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of manufacturers that don't want to deal with. I mean, because that opens up another level of logistics for them, having to distribute their own products. A lot of manufacturers don't want to, so they have distributors in place, and they exclusively sell to distributors. So now, the advantage, that as you get capital and get experience and stuff, is the manufacturers that do both, that have distributors in place and they sell to distributors, but they also distribute themselves. You're going to get a better price, generally speaking, being able to buy it from the manufacturer than you would by going through a distributor. So it's not uncommon for have manufacturers that don't distribute their own product.
The most common, I mean, it may be more common somewhere else. The most common category I've seen it in is grocery. There's like 6 or 7 really, really big distributors, and there's a lot of manufacturers that sell exclusively for them.
Do you worry if you use your home address for your company that they will Google Earth the address and see your big company is just a house?
Well, I don't. I mean, the thing about it is if you Google Earth our address, it shows up like down the road here in the middle of nowhere. So our warehouse doesn't even show up properly on Google Earth. So I don't think that's necessarily. I can't imagine anybody taking it to that level.
I've only actually ever. I've heard a couple people say they Google Earth us and found us in the middle of nowhere. But I mean, as far as using that, I mean, there's going to be certain accounts that aren't going to say yes. I mean, if they don't, move on to ones
and just tell them it's wrong. I mean, it is actually wrong in our opinion. I mean, it's not a lot. Like, I mean, we're not in the middle of trees and these hills and whatever it comes up when you Google Earth us. But I mean, just tell them this. That's not right. That's not the right address that shows up.
Next question is, what do you do when a distributor will not return calls or emails?
Move on. Next product.
Call another one.
Yeah, I mean, just
call a different one.
Yeah.
It's just don't get married to a product. Don't. I mean, if in a perfect world everything worked out the first time you did anything, but
if you can't accept rejection, I mean, this is a tough business. I mean, that's the bottom line. Is like we said all along, our acceptance rate's 40% at the manufacturer level, and that's fantastic. That means we're getting turned down 60% of the time. That's a lot of rejection. I mean, you get turned down. They don't answer your phone calls. Find one who will. And what actually ends up happening sometimes, and you'll find this out, is like we contacted a manufacturer in February, and they contacted us back in May, and we're like, hey, we saw that you guys had emailed us. And it's like, wow, really? That's quite a time lapse. But it happens. I mean, they get behind. They do things like that. So don't get overly discouraged. If you do email them, like we suggest in the video, wait a couple of weeks. Put that date you contacted them, how you contacted them, and as you're going back through your spreadsheet, maybe in a couple of weeks, recontact them through a different means. Contact them through if you emailed them, contact them via phone. and maybe you're more successful that way. But if they ultimately don't contact you back, I mean, there's nothing you can do outside of go there, I suppose. But I mean, I would never do that.
Right. And if you send someone an email inquiring about opening an account, and you don't hear anything for a month. I mean, after a month has passed, you can just send that same email again. It's possible they just never saw it, that they're inundated with requests, and they may see that one. And it's not uncommon. It's really not uncommon for them to sometimes take weeks and weeks to answer your initial email sometimes.
And Joe said he contacted a manufacturer, put him on a distributor. The distributor never got back to him. Well, I mean, did they tell you that was the only distributor? Oftentimes they have multiple distributors. They have a list of people that distribute their products, so maybe you try a different distributor. In the event that that's the only distributor and the manufacturer themselves doesn't sell the product, sounds like, unfortunately, that's probably just to go ahead and move on. But I mean, I would probably get in touch with the manufacturer again and see if they sell the product, and if they don't, do they have any other distributors besides this? Because here's the thing, they want their product moved too. So I mean, if you go to the manufacturer and say, hey, I contacted these guys, I'm interested in selling your product, I haven't heard back from them, more than likely they'll contact the distributor and say, hey, how come you're not trying to promote my product? You have people wanting to buy my product, and so you'll probably get a response at that point. So I mean, I would probably go back to the manufacturer, see if they sell it, and tell them just hey, I contacted the distributor you gave me, and I've not heard anything back, and you may hear something from them.
I really want a nice way to phrase this is go back to that manufacturer and say, yeah, do you got another contact? I wasn't able to get a response.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if they will get a response. And like Eric said, they care about the product selling. So, more often than not, what they're going to do is they're going to hang up the phone with you, call them, and find out exactly what's going on. And you'll probably receive a call pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's generally how it works.
Yep. Another question here is, once you get a list of products from a manufacturer, how do you go through the potentially thousands of items in their catalog?
I don't know of a single manufacturer who makes 1,000 items.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like maybe a distributor list, in which case, like, we have Matt do it, or if we do it, we might skim products we think might be good. We've also used Scan Power Evaluate.
Yeah, evaluates.
But at the end of the day, is like, I probably, so if I'm getting a product list from a manufacturer, that means I found at least one product I'm interested in from that manufacturer. So probably what I would do at that point is go back to Amazon, click on the link that shows you manufactured by, XYZ company right below the product listing, click that, check out all of its other products, see which other ones have great sales ranks. And then I would just target those on the list if I had to do it that way. So that's probably,
that's the easiest way to do it.
I mean, that's how, and then that way you can see, okay, these products also fall in that range, and you just go to the price list and say, well, I know this has a great sales rank. Let's see what the price of this product is, and then go from there. But I mean, if you're talking about thousands SKUs, I mean,
it's probably not a manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a distributor at that point, and then at least if nothing else, you'll have the one product that you contacted them about in the first place, and hopefully you can meet their minimum order for that product, and then spend your time sourcing instead of sorting through 1,000-line spreadsheet.
Yeah, we think leaf sourcing is much, much better for sourcing than going through large catalogs of inventory.
I mean, I just don't do it. I would never do it. That's the point. Is I wouldn't spend my time looking for product. Like, I look for a product and then go find it. I don't spend my time going through pages and pages and pages of potential items. I find the item I want.
Yeah, and it's like Eric recommended. If we were ever going to, if we get those lists from wholesalers or distributors, we would run them through Evaluate if we were going to go through it. We wouldn't manually do that ever. I don't know that we ever have.
That's too tedious to do.
Yeah. Leaf sourcing is far superior, we believe, to that. Do you have a sample reorder spreadsheet that you use?
Sample reorder spreadsheet.
Like a restock list, like for a replenishment or something? I don't think a reorder spreadsheet, I don't think we understand exactly what you're trying to ask that on that one.
He has specified like volume, time, MOQ, and such would be included on it.
I mean, as far as we just base that on our replenishment alerts. I mean, we set up replenishment alerts to alert us at a certain point. We go through, analyze it. If we carry multiple items from that manufacturer, we'll see if we can restock the other items too while it's convenient.
He was just asking, how do you know when to reorder?
Yeah, replenishment alerts.
FBA replenishment alerts in the manage inventory tab.
We're considering. I mean, I'm going to. As you guys know, I was on vacation. Eric was really busy keeping up with the other stuff while I was gone too. But we're going to talk about using. I really want to look into using Restock Pro and see if at least run the free trial of it and see what it looks like.
Yeah, the thing about replacement alerts on Seller Central too is that's generally what we use so that we get alert when low. The longer you have a product in stock, the more accurate it becomes. It tells you the number of units you can expect to sell per week. So the longer you have a product in stock, you can start scaling the alerts to what becomes relevant to your reorder. Because some manufacturers and distributors are really quick on turnaround. Like you can order a product today and expect it mid next week. Some may take 2 months, a month, or So you learn as you carry a product what your restock time is from the manufacturer and what your sell-through rate is. So that data comes better as you carry a product for an extended period of time.
All right. We may have ran through all the questions.
That's good. That's good. Because we're right about time. So that's good.
All right. If anybody else wants to pop, 1 or 2 more questions, we'll answer those. And then
they said, "What's a vacation, slacker?" Somebody wants to know what. Must be nice. Who knows?
I did retail arbitrage while I was on vacation.
Yeah.
How did you get that stuff back? You said you didn't know how you were going to get the stuff back.
FedEx.
So you FedExed it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But Eddie V's was awesome. I'm actually going to make Eric go whenever we go down to the Scan Power Conference. If you guys are in Orlando, Randy and Elizabeth told me to try a restaurant called Eddie V's. It is insane and awesome. Just go there. It's ridiculous.
Daniel asks, are you guys worried about saturation at all? Only dealing with the top 0.25% of products generally.
No, I mean it's the natural ebb and flow of products. Like we said, I mean, products are going to get worse. They're going to get better. We're constantly moving with products, and our database gets bigger and bigger each time. Like if a product gets bad for us, we reevaluate those products in the future and revisit them. And plenty of them actually got recently. We picked up a whole new line that we carried before because it got bad, and now it's just returned to awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, people don't like to lose money, so you can bank on generally products recovering at some point.
Let's see. From the standpoint of RA versus wholesale, what percentage are you guys currently doing RA, and what percentage of your
RA
revenue?
about 2%, wholesale about 98%.
OA, RA, roughly 0%.
Yeah, I mean any RA that we do is what is left over from like Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean that's maybe
Lego clearance 2 years ago. Maybe
Van probably just did that RA at Disney in Orlando.
Because my wife made me go shopping.
Yeah, so you had nothing else to do.
I was sitting there, and I was like, well, I mean, I could just sit here, or I could go buy, these awesome items,
or I could go make money while I'm sitting here.
So I mean, as far as what is our percentage, I mean, our time commitment, it is probably 98, 99% wholesale and 1%, 2% OA. And it's like I said, that's just when he finishes up items.
Yep. So questions, are you guys coming to ASD, and are you coming to the Scan Power Conference?
We are coming to ASD and the Scan Power Conference.
yes.
Let's see, how long before the webinar video becomes available for viewing? I'm going to try to get this thing up tonight.
That's all on Dylan.
Yeah, that's all.
If Dylan makes you guys mad, just yell at him.
I mean, this is our first time ever using Zoom as a host and recording it. I have no idea how long it'll take, but I'll try to get it up
as soon as possible
tonight. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, it'll probably be tomorrow afternoon. It takes a while.
Yeah, I have no idea how long it takes for these to compress, especially it being 2 hours long. So we'll see, but I'll try if it's possible.
Absolutely. On the ASD, are we going to try to meet up with everybody? Absolutely. We'll post a thread in there. Somebody mentioned that we should post it sooner than later. I don't book things. I'm terrible at organizing anything. Eric's like my work mother, so
yeah. And I'll be able to pull the link in case you need me.
But anyway, so I didn't have the dates. I'll get Eric to bounce on to the Facebook group and post the dates that we're going to be there, and we can try to find a convenient night for a meet up with everybody. We'd love to meet everybody and talk to you guys.
And then
slacking.
Yeah, the recording's not up yet.
What are you doing?
I'm slacking. That's right. It's funny, Eric.
But I guess that covers it. I mean, keep posting those. Keep posting in the forum. I mean, keep posting in the group. And if you find a manufacturer, post it. I think it's inspiration for everybody else. I know some people have already been doing incredibly well, and it's You're much faster at it than we were.
Yeah, he's not saying post the name of the manufacturer. Post that you found the manufacturer. Just for clarity.
Yeah, right.
Don't
No.
freak out. He wasn't saying post the name of the manufacturer.
Yeah,
Just post that you're having success and enjoying.
Don't give away those trade secrets.
I mean, don't know it.
Uh,
You'll get some competition. Yeah, that's one way to guarantee you'll get some competition.
Yeah, so he's just saying like if you're having success contacting manufacturers, let everybody else know to give them a little boost, a little excitement.
Speaking of that, so the next webinar next Monday, we're going to be focusing on sourcing. So for the first hour, we're going to actually we're going to leaf source. We're going to go over some products with everybody watching and go through that whole process as we would do it and as we do it.
I mean, I'll just how I do it. I mean, that's the and we may even pull Matt in if he's available. If he's not, I mean, I do it every day. This is how I source products. So I'll go over setting up, where we start, setting up some of the competitor tracking that we talk about and things like that. And that's really good for getting new leaves of products. You don't have to just copy all of their products. I mean, their products will lead to new leaves of products, and that's why this method of sourcing is so robust. I mean, you access so much information.
Yep.
I love it. It's best sourcing method I've ever found and seen.
Yep. So as we focus on that next week, be doing a lot of sourcing yourself this week, and try to, as questions come up, try to save them for that or
jot your questions down, and we'll address them during it, and then think a big Q&A just like we did here. I enjoyed the Q&A. I feel like I feel like you guys asked some amazing questions. So, we'll do our best to address everything. And so next week should be more exciting. I mean, this one, the topics, this is the pre-content. I mean, how exciting can pre-content be? Next week we get into actually how to fight and find products.
Yep. So thank you, everybody. We'll go ahead and sign off here.
Make sure Dylan gets this up ASAP.
Yep. And then so we'll see you again next Monday, same time.
See you guys later.